Breaking news out of Japan. First and foremost, our thoughts are with anyone who's been affected by this tragedy, especially those friends and families of the victims. This video is to establish the facts. The analysis and investigation will come later. Here's what we know so far. At 1747 local time, a Japan Airlines Airbus A350, registered Juliet Alpha 13 X-Ray Juliet, operating flight JL516 from Sapporo to Haneda, landed on runway 34 right. The weather was perfectly fine, and the landing reportedly appeared to be normal at first. However, approximately halfway down the runway, it collided with a Dash 8-300. The Airbus burst into flames and came to a stop off the right-hand edge of the runway, 1,680 meters from the landing threshold. It was then evacuated. All 367 passengers, inclusive of 8 children, as well as 12 crew, were able to escape, with some receiving major injuries. The Dash 8 was carrying 6 occupants and was preparing to deliver aid to earthquake-ravaged parts of Japan's west coast. Sadly, 5 of the 6 people on board died, with just the captain managing to escape with serious injuries. Japan Airlines confirmed later that the A350 was evacuated successfully, and we've seen some video clips already released. I'd like to highlight just how calm the cabin is throughout the emergency. As the orange glow shines through the side windows, 2 PAs are heard asking passengers to please calm down, followed by "Do not take your luggage" and "Do not stand up." After this, it's reported that the PA system failed, but the aircraft was then evacuated out of 3 of the 8 exits. It would be expected that several of them would be blocked due to the severe flames. With the PA system down, flight attendants would have had to rely on other means of communication. One clip shows a flashlight being used to direct passengers to an exit, and footage within the cabin shows a compliant but calm environment, as passengers orderly make their way to the exits. It's a credit to the performance of the crew as well as the demeanour of the passengers that such a successful evacuation was executed. In terms of what caused the horrific incident, it'll take months of analysis and investigation for conclusions to be made. Authorities have recently released excerpts from the communications on the tower frequency on that night. It shows JL516 checking in with tower and then being cleared to land.
Japan 5 and 6, continue with 34 right. Get around 34 right, Japan 5 and 6.
After which, the Dash 8, registered Juliet Alpha 722 Alpha, made first contact and was cleared to taxi to holding point Charlie 5. The clearance is read back, and this is the last of the communications between the Dash 8 and the tower. No lineup clearance and no takeoff clearance is given, so how and why it ends up on the runway 2 minutes later will be subject to intense investigation. An extended clip that's been released on social media shows that it was holding on the runway for 50 seconds, before the lights of JL516 appear on short final, unaware and unable to see any sign of the Dash 8 lined up on the runway. All we can conclude so far is that it's too early to make any conclusions. Causes of runway collisions can be multifaceted, and any accident involves human factors. Investigators will have numerous sources of evidence to use when analysing the accident, and one of the first things they'll be doing is examining the wreckage. The Japan Transport Safety Board is in charge, assisted by investigators from the French BEA. JAL will also likely be involved, as well as a team from Airbus who have been sent to Japan. This is the first hull loss of an A350 since the airframe was introduced to service in 2015. It'll be interesting to see any findings the investigation makes regarding the A350, and how well it withstood the fire because of the new design material. We know that it was able to withstand the flames enough to allow the passengers to evacuate, even with some of the exits blocked by fire. This is something that's actually inbuilt into the design of aircraft. A full plane of passengers is required to be able to exit within 90 seconds through just half of the emergency exits. So while this accident is clearly tragic, it could have been much worse had the design of the plane, and like we said before, the performance of the crew had not been so exemplary. That's about all the information we have to share on the Haneda runway collision at this point. It's likely more information will come out in the coming days and weeks. This will likely be followed by a preliminary report, which should be released in the next month. You'll be able to catch all of those details in the coming editions of 3 Greens Monthly. For now, we would again like to express our condolences and sympathies to the victims of this tragedy, their friends, and their families.